How you doing, YouTube? Back at the car corral here. Gonna fix up a 2015 Chevy Sonic. I'm in the process of putting the front bumper, new front bumper assembly on, and I thought I might show you all the little points of interest that you're gonna run into when you take one of these off, and particularly when you put it back on. You got to make sure all these things are intact. This particular model is an LTZ with a turbo, so you've got the intercooler and ducting to go along with that model. But as you'll see here, we'll have I'll point out the little particulars you got to be careful of and watch out for. To begin with, the side mounts of the bumper, you've got these clips that will push directly right into this bracket here, and it has little fasteners that clip onto these plastic things. Well, when you take these apart, if you take the thing apart, normally what happens is these get ripped or broken because that's just plastic. So if you have to repair those, what I've done in the past, and I did on this one that was ripped, I just did some templates and cut a credit card, an old credit card up, and used goop. Goop is my go-to repair glue. You can get it at most any hardware store. But I use goop, credit card, cut a template out, put clamps on it, and I don't know whether you can tell, you can see the cards that I put back there just for reinforcement. Did the same thing on the side, the other side. This particular model has a like I said, it was an LTZ, so they have the fog lights. Points that will be plugging in prior to hanging the bumper on will be right here. And you just have to, and this is the plug for the light. And you have to plug that in prior to hanging the thing on, because you're not going to get it attached without dropping. If you do, you have to drop this inner liner, wheel liner. I've got that assembled already. You could, either way, you could probably put this on, you could put that on later, but I chose to put it on right away. Other items on this side, you have a on the back side you have a, I believe this is some sort of sensor for the airbags here, and that is right here, and that gets plugged in. And then there again you have the fog light plug. I still have to attach the put the light in that before I hang the thing up. Things to look out for are you got to make sure your tubing is all secure. Normally when these things get hit in the front, this plastic, this little shroud, that gets snapped off, and all that is you got little push pins that hold that there, here, here, and here. In the same way with this lower shroud, 2 push pins there and there on either side, and just to guide the air into the intercooler. That lower cooler is the intercooler for these. Got to make sure your horn button, your windshield washer fluid, electrical connections are all attached, and it's always a good idea just to double check everything so that you've got everything working before you start hanging this stuff on there, because like I say, it's not a big deal. All these mounting points are here, 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 and they mount that will attach there. Then you have another shroud that goes on top of that. It's like a cosmetic shroud. But make sure, you got to make sure your hood releases properly, because you don't want to have this all together and have to start taking things apart to make things fit and work properly. So in particular, I had this front bumper painted, and you have to, on these there's the fog lamps, just to show you some the points where these things are attached. You've got this whole unit is mounted, screwed to the bumper itself. 3 screws here, here, and here, and then you have these tabs that lock the surrounding edges in. And if you have to take those apart, care must be taken, because what I did when I took these apart to get painted, I wedged credit cards between here, these 2 points here, so that it would all slide out as a unit. Because it's when you get this, if you get this one loose and that one locks, if you don't have some kind of interference between the two, because it'll want to relock itself. Just to show you some other points, this top shroud is screwed in 3 points, and I'm gonna hold this up so I don't drop it. There's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 screws right here that hold this top part in. These little plastic things that are below the headlights, they're snapped in also, but you have 2 screws that hold those in. There's one here and one here, and I've seen a lot of people think they just pry them off and they will break, because the screws are actually holding those in. You have you can see down here, these are the points where it slides into the bumper and snaps in here, but there's only 2 screws holding on the bottom, which sometimes you don't know these little things, and you can screw up a $20 part. So same way with this side. These grills, if you have to take these out, that's also a bit of a pain, because it has the same kind of clips as the fog lights, and they really hold well, and they want to stay clipped. So you have to, what I've done is cut up credit cards and slid credit cards in between the snap joints, so that they are held apart and don't want to re-clip themselves after you get them unclipped. What else here? Oh, this little emblem, just a minor little thing. It is held on in the back by 2 screws here and here, but once you take the screws out, the factory they've used adhesive on each side of the emblem here and here, and once you take the screws out, the adhesive is holding the emblem on. And the best way to get the emblem off is with a heat gun. Heat up that adhesive and pry it off slowly so you don't break anything. I think that's all I want to talk about right now. I'll set the camera up and we'll show the hanging of the bumper and the attachment of these light plugs and whatnot. So I'll proceed as we talked about. Okay, here we go. What I'm going to do is put the tape along the edge here where these snap in, so they don't accidentally snap in while I'm screwing around trying to get this thing to fit all the pickup points. Okay. We have got pretty well attached. There are a couple points of interest here. There's a slot that's in this thing that goes, that it's right there. It actually kind of snaps in, but all the alignment holes are here. There, and there. And they all seem to line up pretty good. So this is like a point of no return on these side things. Oh, I think this screw, there's that one screw, that hole right there, there's a screw that goes into that, and that is right there. And on the edge here, you've got these screws that will mount into that once that is up into position. So here goes nothing. We'll pop that in. Pop that in. Oh, God. There. Back for it. Looks like there's something holding it right under here. So I have to slide that up. I'm gonna put the camera back on the tripod and go for it here. Good, looks like it's looking good. Okay, well, I didn't want to bore you with too much of the minor details, but while off camera, I removed the blue tape that was on the car, snapped it in, and as you can see, it's looking darn good. And the one screw, you have to be able, there's one screw hole here that you put a screw through here that's got that goes into the top of the fender, the bottom of the fender here, and that helps hold those clips that are prone to breaking when you take this thing apart. That'll hold that edge for you right there. Also, what I've done off camera, I put these 3 screws here that hold the inner fender to the bumper, and I verified that these are all fitting up real nice. There's a little plastic tab that snaps into the top of the headlight, and everything lines up perfect. I can't believe it. And once again, on this side, it snapped in nicely, and I put down here the one screw here, and there's one more here, here, and here that attaches. There are screws underneath. There's a little bracket that's right there that screws in, and you have to, I did this side off camera already. You can see where that screws into. That's a metal bracket that screws into the bottom of the bumper, and then it attaches to this. That bracket attaches to this by those 2 screws back there. And I still have to do this one, but I'm not gonna, like I say, I'm not gonna bore you with putting those on. One thing I did want to mention too, that a good thing to do before you put the bumper on, and which I did, is I took the car down and had the AC charged to make sure I had no leaks anywhere, because if you did happen to have a leak and it was like in the fitting in the front where it attaches, then you'd have to undo this bumper to get to it. That's the only way to do it, and there's really no undoing this grill unless the bumper's off. So you're kind of tied to taking the bumper off if you have to do anything to the front end of this car, intercoolers or anything like that. On this particular car, I replaced the fan, the radiator, and the AC condenser. The intercooler back behind this grill was in good shape because this car was a deer hit, a high deer hit. It actually just hit the driver's side headlight grill, but it was a big enough deer that it tore up the bumper too. I think that's about it for now on this little project. Just the main things I wanted to show you were the particular points of interest that might cause you problems if you were going to be taking a bumper off or pieces off the front bumper. And bottom line is, if you may as well just take the whole bumper off to replace grill pieces or anything such as that, because you're not gonna get to it from the outside. So for now, it's Midnight Auto, over and out. Have a great day.